My name is Nichelle White. On April 29th, on the way to school, my youngest son had a seizure. He had never experienced seizures before in his life. No one in my family had ever had a seizure before. I got a phone call from my oldest son screaming into the phone, "Hey Mom, Garen is having a seizure." And that day is forever etched in my mind, and my oldest son's voice, I hear it over and over again. I rushed to the location where he was at, and I missed the seizure, but saw him coming up out of it. We went to the hospital. They checked him out. We went home. We thought it was just a fluke that had happened, and brushed it off. It happened again the next weekend. My son was hospitalized over 6 times throughout the summer. His seizures got progressively worse, where he was having multiple seizures in one day. They got to the point where he had to be hospitalized and intubated. And that had never happened before. And so immediately my heart sunk. And as a mom, you just want to fix it. I literally have never felt so helpless before in my life. As a mother, the one thing you want to do is fix it. You want to kiss boo-boos, put Band-Aids on. My boys play football, hockey, every sport. I'm used to bandaging them up, used to cast on the arms, but never something that I couldn't see and that couldn't easily be fixed. That was probably the toughest year of my entire life. And I've been through some stuff, so couldn't call my mom. I couldn't even find out my family history because most of my family has passed away. So we ended up needing to do genetic testing. Any test you can think of, we did it to try to pinpoint where it came from, because ultimately that would have helped to figure out his treatment. It wasn't until the day before his birthday, so you can't tell me that God wasn't in that he stopped having seizures, that they had finally figured out how to help my son. And I still deal with the trauma, the anxiety, the fear, all of the things that go along with worrying about your child. I chose to exchange fear for faith. I was encouraging my son every time we went to church to go down and give it to God. And he's my shy guy. He doesn't like eyes on him, and he just kept brushing it off. And I'll never forget that Sunday that he did decide to go down and to seek prayer, and the seizure stopped. And I remember talking to him about it and saying, all you had to do was give it over to God, and he would fix it for you. And you were so stubborn, and you fought me the whole way. But I choose to focus on my faith. Anytime a feeling of fear creeps up into me, I go back to a scripture, a song, something that snaps me out of it so that I can keep my faith focused on God. Along this journey, God has given me people in my life that I didn't even know that I would need in this regard. I worked with a lady who left the organization to become the CEO of the Epilepsy Foundation. In our church family, we have neurologists who sit on the pews with us every Sunday. And every step of my journey, I had a village of people who showed up at that hospital, who fought with me and the doctors on recommendations for medication. But there's nothing like having a doctor of neurology in the room with you, who could speak the language, who could ask the right questions, who could push back. And I don't know what I would have done without Dr. Lucretia Long. She told me when this first started that we were going to get through this and that we were going to figure it out. And I believed those words. There was one night I was sitting in the hospital, and the nurse had pressed upon me to order him some food, even though he had been in epileptic post seizures and in and out of sleep. She was like, when he wakes up, he's going to be hungry, so you need to order him some food. And I was hesitant at first, and I just decided to go ahead and order it. But the gentleman who brought his food up to the room set the tray down and walked out. But then something brought him back into the room, and he looked at me and he said, God's gonna fix it. I didn't know this man. He didn't know me, but he knew I needed a word. And I just lost it because that was what I needed to get through that night. The journey was hard. I didn't sleep. I lost weight. I'm not mad about that part though. And the whole time, people were sending me songs to listen to. I remember this is probably the most I've been in my Bible since that day. I was looking for a word to help get me through. I was songs that would minister to me. And I haven't stopped doing that. Every night is my time with God before I go to bed, much like when Garen was in the hospital. I choose to focus on my faith in God and try to block out the fear. It creeps up, it does. I still have a camera in my son's room. I still check on him 2 or 3 times before I go to bed. I still wake up in the middle of the night and look at my camera to make sure he's fine. But I am now back to the point where I can go to sleep and rest and give it over to God. My son is doing so much better in school. He's back to doing his sports. And so all of that is just reassuring to me that God took care of it. My prayer was always that he would be healed completely, that he would one day come off of the medication that he has to take, and also that he would be somebody's testimony. And he has been just that through this whole experience. We found out about other football players on his team who have epilepsy, and we've been able to share our story, our journey, our doctors, our recommendations, our medications. There's a whole community out there that I didn't even know existed. And I tell Garen all the time, you are somebody's testimony. They can look at you and they can know that it'll be okay, that they will also push through, that they will also be healed one day.